Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips with another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today we have Michael Cherry, former Nevada Supreme Court Justice, and he's also the senior judge, and he's going to be discussing the Nevada Senior Judge Program. But before we get to Justice Cherry, Ms. Phillips.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and thank you to all of our sponsors. We have Semperfi Heating and Cooling. Get in touch with them to get your system checked. Their website is callsemperfi.com, callsemperfi.com. We also have Michelle Romero. She is Henderson's mayor. She's running for re-election, and her website is votemichelleromero.com, votemichelleromero.com. Get in touch with her. Also, we have a Board of Regents candidate for District 3, Angelo Carvalho. His website is carvalhofornevada.com. That's the number 4, carvalhofornevada.com. Check out his platform. And also we have Cody Whipple. He is running for Congressional District 4. His website is Cody K for Congress, Cody K for Congress. That's the number 4 as well, codykforcongress.com. Get in touch with him and check out his platform. And don't forget to grab your copy of Steve's book, How to Navigate Nevada's Family Court System. You can get a copy on Amazon. It is $14.99. If you are a family court litigant and you don't have an attorney or you can't afford one, grab a copy of this. It is a self-help book, and it will help you navigate that system. Also, grab your tickets for our Valentine's Ball. It is February 7th of 2026, but we have extra early bird tickets on sale right now. This month and next month are the cheapest we have ever sold these for. It's $99, and there's only so many of those to go around. You have until the end of August to grab those early bird tickets. Then after that, the price goes up in September, but we want everybody to come. It's going to be so much fun. Also, check out our merch store. It's VIPImerch.com, VIPImerch.com. We have all kinds of fun stuff on there. And also for my rant, this will be short, but did you guys see the interview yesterday or the day before with Hunter Biden? It was so pathetic. And I think he's trying to be relevant. He was being interviewed by this guy, and he was dropping the F-bomb almost every other word. I mean, it was like beep, beep, beep. They had to beep, pretty much the whole interview. He couldn't stop saying the F word. So that to me tells me his vocabulary is limited. He also, the interviewer was asking him where do you buy crack? Hunter tells him, and he's dead serious. You guys have to Google this and look it up. He's dead serious, and he says, well, it's in bad neighborhoods and terrible places, and it's not safe. And so I learned to make my own. He admitted in this interview, he made his own crack. And
the Hunter crack.
I could not believe it. So anyway, they kind of went on and where you could buy the stuff at your local drugstore, convenience store. And anyway, I was stunned. Then he's calling Trump. The crackhead was calling Trump a dictator thug because he doesn't agree with the deporting and arresting of these illegal immigrants that are in our country. He thinks that should be illegal. He does not support removing illegal criminals from our country. And it was stunning that he was just so bold on there. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Your laptop, it was real. It wasn't disinformation. It wasn't Russian disinformation. All these lies that they told us back about Russia. The laptop is real. And there are horrible, vile, in my opinion, things that amount to criminal things on that laptop. So, Hunter, your day is coming, just like your dad, Mr. Autopen pardon. So I wouldn't get too comfortable if I were you out there because that pardon, probably a little shaky, along with all those other pardons that your daddy did. So your day is coming too. I think that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's 2-0. So, Justice Cherry, thank you for being on the program.
Well, thank you.
Just here just a minute ago?
I was here
like 2 months ago, right?
Yeah. But I missed you both.
Okay. Well, we missed you too. Thanks for coming back.
When I was a district court judge, I was on TV all the time because I was the publicity judge or whatever you call it, the PIO. Before we had a PIO for the Binion case. Yeah,
Binion case. I remember that. So could you give us a bio for those that weren't here last time you were here?
Well, I came to Las Vegas after graduating from Washington University Law School, a top 20 law school, by the way, in St. Louis, Missouri in 1970 with wife and daughter who's now in her 50s. And we came here and my dream job was to be a public defender because I loved Perry Mason and Della Street. I named my dog Della Street, by the way. My German Shepherd is named Della Street. But I used to watch Perry Mason all the time. I said, Mom, I want to be a lawyer. I want to win all my cases like Perry Mason does. Raymond Burr was Perry Mason, and Barbara Hale was Della Street. And I want to have a secretary that looks like Della Street. Well, I was beautiful. Oh. I was very successful as a public defender for 7 years.
Won a lot of public defender?
Well, not until later, after private practice. And I was assistant public defender from 74 to 77 when I went into private practice. And when I started with the public defender's office, it was all guys, and it was 9 of us. And then when I left, there was 25 of us, and it was all guys. But right before I left, I interviewed the first gal, Janet Blumen, and she took office as the first female Clark County public defender. That was in 77. In 77, I went into private practice with Ted Manos. We were partners for 14 years, and I did a lot of criminal law. But also I got involved in mass tort litigation. I was the special master for the MGM fire, for the Hilton fire, for the MGM insurance case, for the Mission subrogation case. These were all in the 80s, and they all settled out of court. And then I was a plaintiff's attorney in the Pepcon explosion in 1988 to 92. Wow. And rather than be the special master, Mosley wanted to appoint me as special master, but the defense wasn't particularly happy with me because I had pushed through the settlement of the MGM fire litigation much earlier than the insurance companies appreciated. So I rounded up all of Ed Bernstein's clients, and I had 2 clients myself. And then I went to every PI lawyer who had either a death case or a personal injury case or any other type of case. And I did a tag-along litigation as a plaintiff's attorney along with the insurance company attorneys that had sued Pepcon and the other 5 defendants in that case. So that case ended in 92, and I still did some private practice until 97 when they had the first special public defender. This was an office that was going to do the murder conflicts with the Clark County Public Defender's Office when they couldn't represent a co-defendant. And I was able to be interviewed, and they were going to send 3 names to the commission. And I said to Wolfson, who was the chairman, I said, either send my name alone because I want the job, or I don't want it. And sure enough, he just sent my name, and I got appointed. And I did that until they created Departments 17, 18, and 19 in the district court. And after about 18 months of taking names and kicking ass in murder cases, I decided to run for office, ran against Jim Mahan, and the general had run against Sandy Pomerantz and Gail Nathan in the primary. And the nice thing is that all 4 of us became judges. In fact, Jim became a federal judge after he was appointed by Gwynn to the district court bench, and Sandy and Gail became family court judges in their careers. So then I was a district court judge, and I did all civil for my first 2 years, and then I was what they call a half and half civil, half criminal, until 2006 when Bob Rose announced his retirement from the Supreme Court, and I said, "What the hell?" I had run unopposed in 2002 for the district court, and Richard Bryan taught me either run unopposed or scared. So the first time I ran scared in 98, and then the second time in 2002, 2006, and 2012 I ran unopposed for the Supreme Court twice. And I was lucky enough to be a Supreme Court justice for 12 years. I was Chief Justice in 2012 and 2017. And that was being the king of the world, because when you're the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, you're the head of all the judges in the state. And I really enjoyed being on the Supreme Court. I lived in Carson for 12 years. A lot of people thought I was incarcerated in the prison, but no, I was at 201 South Carson.
Cell block 8.
There.
You're running cell block 8. Tell about this.
When I got up there, they give us other assignments other than just read, write, and edit cases. So Bill Maupin was the chief, and he appointed me as chairman of the Indigent Defense Commission, which refined and reevaluated and rehabilitated indigent defense representation in the state of Nevada. And I did that for full 12 years and really enjoyed that. Did a lot of important things. Made sure they established in Clark County a independent agency that appointed lawyers to represent people charged with crimes when the public defender or the special public defender had a conflict and couldn't represent. So that was my first job there, besides doing cases. My second job.
Are we still in your bio?
Yeah, I'm finished now. My second
He's
job.
getting there. He's got a large bio.
Mark Gibbons was Chief Justice in 2008. This is my second year on the Supreme Court. He said, Mike, how would you like to run the senior judge program? I said, swell, Mark, I'd love to. So we have a senior judge program in the state of Nevada. Many states, there's mandatory retirement. One of my fraternity brothers was a judge in St. Louis, where we grew up. And at 70, he had to retire. We don't have that. But the only way we have a senior judge program, which is somewhat modeled after the federal court senior judge program, is that there has to be a critical shortage. And of course, in this state, there's always a critical shortage. Wherever we go, whether it be to a conference of chief justices or any type of seminars on continuing legal education, people are amazed at how few judges we have. We only have 90 district court judges in the whole state, 16 in the rural, 16 in Washoe, and 58 in Clark County.
So do you think we need the additional 18 judges that they've been asking for?
No, not if you have a good senior judge program, but I don't know. I mean, I think we need some more family court judges. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, family court.
I thought we had 87 district court judges in the state.
90. 16, 16, and 58. That's 32, and 58 is 90.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think one of the Supreme Court reports talked about 87, but I think there's 90. 87, 90. So we have a senior judge program. And that means if you retire, and because when Hardesty was a Chief Justice, he made sure that we had a permanent critical shortage. They're trying to do critical shortage for marshals and other areas in the judicial system so that people who are retired doesn't interfere with their Social Security, it doesn't interfere with their pensions, and they can do the work. And they pay us a pittance to be a senior judge, believe it or not. I get more than most because I was a Supreme Court justice. I get $100 an hour. And the district court judges get about 90 something. Now there's going to be a big raise in 27. I hope I live long enough to maybe.
So all of you will get a raise.
I don't know what our raise will be compared to
How
what
much do you think I'll get?
I don't know.
You probably get like $20 maybe.
I don't know. That's all. But I enjoyed running the program, and I was very successful. How successful? I'd be in the airport, and a Republican would come up to me and say, Jerry, you're doing a great job with that senior judge program. Keep up the good work. The Democrats come, Jerry, you're doing a great job with that senior judge program. Keep it up. As an example, Dan Pepez was a judge in Ely. It was snowing. Friday night, he steps out of the courthouse and breaks his leg. Oh. Monday morning, we had a senior judge ready to handle the calendars. And especially it's true in the rurals where there's two judges. If you preempt both judges, you got to have a senior judge program. And it's very successful in the rurals because it gives an opportunity for some of the judges who have been very loyal jurists over the years.
It's not
in the rurals.
You become a senior judge after you retire, is it?
No, it's in fact every year they have to reevaluate you. They send out evaluations and
what
everything.
do they look for in a judge?
Just that you have the same type of disposition you had under the terms when you were elected by the people of the state of Nevada. Don't forget, we're all elected. We were all elected over the years. And if we're still that type of person that was able to be elected so many times, and many people were elected a number of times.
Do you agree in that age limit like they do in other states? Should there be an age limit?
No,
or no?
I'm 80 years old. I'm still going strong.
He's sharp.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
It's like Carolyn Goodman.
And I enjoy it because I'm a bachelor. I have a significant other who lives in her own
You're a
house.
bachelor?
Yes.
How come we're not hanging out?
Hold on.
He
Move
got
it
a
up.
girl- He's got a girlfriend.
Oh. So
I'm advertising.
I have a couple questions about the senior.
Well, let me
judge
tell you
program.
why I'm here, Steve. Why
Why are you here?
I'm
Mike?
here because
He has a beef.
there was a case called Cripps.
Like the Bloods and the Crips.
Yeah, it was Cripps. The guy's name was Cripps.
Oh.
And one of the district judges put the arm on the guy to plead guilty. And so the Supreme Court, before I got on, ruled that judges cannot participate in criminal law negotiations. Now, we could always participate in a $1 billion tort case, and try to settle it, but we couldn't settle a burglary case. So we had a committee in 2018, right before I left. Mike Douglas was on the committee with me. We had the DA from Wolfson from Clark County. We had Hicks from Washoe. We had a guy from Douglas County. We had the PD. We had some defense attorneys, and we had some other people who were interested in the criminal justice system. We said, let's start a criminal settlement program where senior judges and sitting judges can help negotiate a DA and a defense attorney with a case where you have the defendant there, whether he be in custody or free. You have him in the room, and you sit down and you try to make sure it's just even-handed, and maybe put your 2 cents in if you feel it needs to be done. The only thing is you can't take the plea. It has to go to a different judge. And so we would negotiate a case, and then you'd get on the phone, this is as a senior judge, and you would call the sitting judge, and that judge would take the plea. If that judge was unavailable, you go to the presiding criminal judge, and they would take the plea, and the trial judge would still be the one to sentence. So it was a very successful program. It was especially successful during COVID when they weren't trying any cases. We were settling cases right and left. I would go on the lower level of the RJC, and I would do a case at 10 and a case at 1:30. And we were settling a lot of people who were sitting in jail. They were getting their credit, but they wanted to move on where there were programs. If they were going to go to Nevada Department of Corrections, or if they were going to get probation, they were going to get out of custody. And during COVID, we settled a bunch of cases, so we knew the program was successful. So we kept on doing it. And I thought it was going to be mainly senior judges, but some of the sitting judges, instead of doing civil settlement conferences where you get hundreds of pages of briefs, you can get a couple police reports. And it was a little more conducive to the style of some people who were former DAs or former public defenders or former defense attorneys to settle these cases. Now, the reason I'm here is because I did settlement conferences from 2020, when we started the program in Clark County, until, in fact, it even started in 2019, until May 29th of this year, when all of a sudden I wasn't getting appointments. And I said, what's going on? I can't believe I'm not getting appointments for settlement conferences. Criminal settlement. I was still getting civil settlement conferences. I was still covering calendars for judges who were ill, retired judges, where I would take their calendars. And I was doing a lot of work with that.
And you got Judge Peterson right now, right?
Yeah, I do. Well,
She has a criminal calendar.
Yeah, I did criminal calendar today, Monday, Wednesday. Tuesday, I did probate. Thursday, I'm going to do Department 4. And Friday, I'm going to do probate again for Sturman. She's had some type of surgery. So
Okay.
I'm doing that. In fact, I'm going to do one of her trials on starting on August, the first Monday in August.
You think I could sit up there with you?
No. No, I wouldn't mind, but I don't think anybody would really appreciate
He's
it.
going to make
Steve.
us sit in the back.
Aren't you the judge?
Yeah. So May
I'll have
29th,
to sit in the
May
back.
29th, I get in touch with Hardy's JEA, who was giving me all these assignments. And I've known Amanda for years. I say, Amanda, what's going on? I'm not getting assignments. She said, Mike, the DA doesn't want you to do settlement conferences anymore. What? Was I unfair? I did 150 or more settlement conferences. My percentage of settlements was 60%. But somebody, and I don't know who it was because Steve isn't talking to me, Mr. Wolfson.
He's not talking to you.
No, because
You're
what
so
happened?
nice to talk to.
What happened is, don't forget, I swore him in as DA. I've known him since he was a pup. And when he was a
Steve, I
DA
guess
and he
we're going
was
to have to come
Attorney
down and meet
General.
with you again.
but you got to have me with him. And he said, Mike, I hate to do this to you.
We'll take you.
Now, everybody believes in due process, right? You got to have due process.
Of course.
I didn't even know this was happening to me.
You didn't get notice?
No notice whatsoever. Now,
You
Steve
didn't get
said
a chance to appeal your case?
nothing. I wasn't even given my side as to what, or to find out how about confrontation of
Sounds
the
like
people who didn't like it.
communism.
There's over 700 employees in the DA's office. Who went to Wolfson? And who did Wolfson go to? Did he go to Tierra Jones, ex parte,
Well, I pulled it
without
up.
me?
I pulled it up. It says right here, the Clark County District Attorney does not have the authority to pull or remove a senior judge from criminal cases. It says it right there.
But they do.
But they did. So they pulled you off in May from these cases. You happened to notice and you went to ask. How long ago did you go ask? What
Right
was
away.
going on?
May 29th, I asked.
Oh, all
I
right.
started getting on the phone. Tierra said, Mike, don't worry. And I was Chief Justice when Tierra was sent to the governor to be appointed. I swore in Steve Wolfson as DA. These are friends. If this is the way friends treat you, imagine if an enemy got a hold of me.
They probably treat you better.
But they never gave you an explanation of why.
No. So Steve then reconsidered because I put the arm on him.
But
I
it
said,
says he
Steve,
has no authority.
I raised that issue. But what they're saying, and I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do because I can't really get involved with the Supreme Court on this issue because I'm still doing very well with the appointments that Justice Stiglitz, who also I sent to the governor to be appointed to the district court when I was chief. I've gotten much more work doing the sitting in departments. I really enjoy sitting in departments again. I really do.
So there was no motion to disqualify you.
Nothing.
No complaint.
Well,
that
there
you
must have
know
been
of.
complaints. My old clerk, April Watkins, one of
Maybe they
great.
think you were too liberal on the.
How do you be liberal in a negotiation?
I don't know.
I didn't force anybody to do
I
anything,
don't know. Maybe they.
and
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
upset about that because I have a great record in this state. And all of a sudden, of all the judges, senior judges, and there are very few that do settlement conferences, by the way. Some of them,
How many are there altogether?
I think there's
many?
20 some odd senior judges,
Oh, okay.
but many of them are in the rurals and in Marshall.
Statewide.
Yeah.
Let's do- okay.
We lost Tagliati as a senior judge because she became on the gaming commission. Abby Silver became on the gaming commission. Many of them are doing private mediation where they work for a company called JAMS or a company called ARM. I did some work with ARM on the opioid case. And,
I would like to name all the senior judges. May I?
Yeah.
Nancy Elf, Linda Gardner, Michael Villani, David Baker, Barker, Elizabeth Gonzalez, Chuck Weller, Nancy Becker, David Jones, James Wilson, Janet Berry, Stephen Kosach, Archie Blake, William Maddox, Joseph Bonaventure, Cheryl Moss, Lisa Brown, Sandra Pomerantz, Jim Crockett. Oh, he's still around.
Yeah.
James Russell, Jennifer Elliott, Deborah Shoemaker, Caroline Ellsworth, Cynthia Diane Steele, Robert Estes, and Frank Sullivan.
And then you've got the senior justices, Debbie Augusti up north, and me. And Nancy's no longer a senior judge; she's just doing mediation. Seda
And you know what?
and Mark Gibbons is retired.
You were a Supreme Court justice. Did you challenge this? Say there's no motion to disqualify me. You, Mr. DA, you have no authority to pull me.
Yes,
off
I
a criminal
challenged it.
case.
It got nowhere.
But it
and
says
the first
right here.
first person I called was Steve Sanson because nobody was listening to me. Now at least some people listened and said, "Well,
He doesn't fist bump either. No COVID bump.
I just was amazed because I thought the DAs really liked me because number one, here's how I would start a thing. How do you do? May I call you Sam? I say to the defendant, or if it's a woman, may I call you Samantha? First name. How do you do? I'm Michael Cherry. I'm a retired Supreme Court justice. I was also a district court judge for 8 years, a Supreme Court justice for 12 years, and now I've been a senior judge for 7 years. Done a lot of these conferences. But more importantly, my career started as a public defender. In fact, I was the assistant public defender in Clark County I was a public defender for 7 years and assistant for 4 years under Morgan Harris. And then I went in private practice. And you know what else I did in private practice? More criminal cases.
You're the perfect one.
Well,
to be
because
on criminal cases.
I've represented people just like yourself, so I know you're
There's
going through a
judicial
lot.
temperament too.
Yes.
They didn't raise a concern with the chief judge.
I don't know what happened.
There was any
told me what
report
happened.
We'll try and find out.
filed with the Nevada Commission of Judicial Discipline.
I haven't charged anybody with anything. I just said, Steve, a lot of people think you're a nincompoop. And I joined that group now. You got rid of me, of all people?
He's talking about Wilson.
I know. The rumor is he's running for AG. He's just waiting to announce him a couple months.
But that's so far away. And the other thing is, here's where I'm handcuffed. I cannot participate in any type of political stuff. In other words, like you announced some of your, I can't back anybody. One time I gave some money to Shelley Berkeley. I gave her like $100. And Ralston was going to crucify me. Said, you can't do that. Yeah. I said,
reported it.
I said, Ralston.
$100 and under, you don't report, right?
No, it was more. It was 120 or something.
Oh, why'd you do that to yourself?
I don't know. 99. But at that time, my son works for Shelley Berkeley. I said to John, David works for Shelley. How could I go to an event and not give her a check? Yeah. So after that, whatever I had, nobody gets anything.
Justice Cherry.
Yes.
I hate to vent like this. Justice Cherry. No, venting is good. Here. It doesn't make any sense because it says the DA has no authority. It says no authority to pull or remove a Nevada senior judge from criminal cases.
Who does have the authority?
No authority.
Who does have the authority?
No
That's not
authority.
The DA.
It didn't even say a little bit of authority. It didn't even say a slight authority. It didn't even say he could get a couple of sentences in. It says no authority. Zero. Because isn't a conflict of interest if the district attorney starts pulling judges from different cases?
Well, not only that, for civil settlement conferences, like I'm doing one on the state in August. We get assigned civil cases where we go and by the way, when we do a civil case, a civil settlement conference, it's free. They don't have to pay like you pay in the private mediators. In other words, it's free for the parties to come to a senior judge. You can't challenge the senior judge who's doing your civil settlement conference, but they're challenging a senior judge who's doing a criminal settlement conference. And as Tiara said to me, Mike, it's voluntary. They cannot want you. I didn't know it was going to be voluntary. We never set it up that way. Douglas and I, as Supreme Court justices on that committee, we never dreamed that you could challenge Michael Cherry. Why would the DA challenge me? So I went to the Nevada Attorneys for Criminal Justice. I'm a past president of the Attorneys for Criminal Justice. I'm a past president of the Inn of Court. I'm past president of my temple. I'm past president of everything that ever existed in this community.
How about veterans in politics?
And I don't think I got endorsed by Veterans in Politics. I think he endorsed Mahan because he was a sailor and I was in the Air Force.
He's the president. He's not going to give up that title.
You know how many years ago?
So you can't have that title.
That was 99. But when I interviewed, I had a picture of my dad and my mom because my dad was a World War II veteran and they got married when, in fact, I was conceived at Fort Knox, Kentucky, when he was in the World War II. And he fought with Patton at the Battle of the Bulge and all that stuff.
Did you know that the district attorney's office and the LVMPD tried to remove Melanie Tobiasen off of criminal cases based on the fact that she was doing the investigation?
I tried to help her on
Vice.
That's a sad case.
And Joe Bonaventure Jr. said no. He was chief judge back then. Said no, I'm not pulling her off of criminal cases. So there was nobody stepping up to the plate for you, Justice Cherry?
Not yet, but I'm hoping.
I would have stepped up to the plate for you.
I needed to tell the story because there's very little I can do publicly as a justice. I don't want them to pull me from doing calendars, and I don't want them to pull me from doing civil settlement conferences because I enjoy that.
You want us to find out
why they pulled you?
Yes.
We'll find out.
He said yes.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Invite me back and maybe invite Steve back to say, come on, Steve. Well, what do you accomplish?
We should bring Steve on the show.
We'll get Steve on the show.
What's wrong with having somebody who the Review Journal calls the liberal on the Supreme Court? I was always called the liberal. But also, why? Because I was a criminal defense attorney. I was the liberal.
Judge, I have to tell you.
So was Wilson.
Yeah. But after the last time we had you on the show, I talked to many people about you. We had a lot of comments, calls, comments on the social media. Everybody loves you and respects you. And it did not matter if it was a Republican or a Democrat. I heard a ton of wonderful comments about you. You are loved in this state, I have to tell
I even did a podcast, a little podcast thing with you on the background of our last show playing.
Mm-hmm.
I became friends with Sheldon and Miriam Allison. In fact, I'm on the board of the methadone clinic with Miriam. And years ago, I became friends with them. And when there was an opening for for federal judge, Allison insisted, but Bush had me interviewed for federal judge. I was a Democrat, and I was being interviewed for federal judge. And they asked me, is there anything in your past that would embarrass President Bush? And I said, everything. Everything in my past.
Everything will embarrass
And of course, and then I said, by the way, don't give it to me, but make sure Jim Mahan gets the job, because I love Jim. We became very close after our election, and he became a district court judge, and then he became a federal judge. And at his investiture, I made sure he had a sign to put in his office that said, elect Mike Cherry to Department 17. So he would remember who kicked his ass. But he's great. He was a wonderful guy. He's like a senior judge now for the federal court.
So what are your recourse?
I don't know.
Well, that's our job. We're going to figure that out.
Here's the thing. I should complain. I've been so busy this month because of Gloria Sturman being out with medical. And some of the judges go on vacation. You know, we have young judges, too, who have families. They want to go to Disneyland with their kids and stuff. And the one thing I insisted on is family comes first before judiciary, then judiciary. And I make sure that I'm available in case a judge needs me to pinch hit. And I'm good when I go in. I'm prepared. I did criminal sentencings. I've done civil cases. I'm doing probate now, which is tough. I mean, Gloria's got more orders to sign on the computer than any district judge I've ever sat for, because she's the probate judge. And everybody files a will or files a petition or whatever, you got to sign orders. And I spend half my day in Department 26 signing orders. Actually, you do it on the computer now instead of.
Could you paint a picture? You walked into an office when they told you this, that you're not on the.
No, I was on the phone.
Oh.
I called Amanda Rivera.
Oh, you were on the phone.
Amanda's the one. All of a sudden, I noticed that I wasn't getting assignment. I was doing many.
There was no meeting of the minds or nothing like that?
Nothing. And I don't even know who complained. April Watkins, my court clerk when I was a district court judge, comes up to me and says, Mike, I heard what happened to you. She said, I guess the crybabies got too Wolfson on this, meaning some of the DAs. But I never heard any DAs. If they didn't settle, there were cases I didn't settle.
They're probably scared of you. But doesn't the Supreme Court run the senior judge program?
I talked to Lydia Stilwich.
And?
I guess they're going along with it. I don't know, Steve. That's why I'm sort of beside myself. I haven't done anything.
It's one thing you get booted. Next thing is you don't know why. That's troubling.
And again, sometimes God works in mysterious ways. I've got more work now than I ever dreamed of without these settlement conferences and the criminal settlement conferences. Plus, they're the easiest thing. If other people need to do them, let them do them. I'll do the complicated stuff for judges, and I'll sit for periods of time like I'm doing for Department 26, the probate department. And I'll be glad to do this trial on August 1st. The first Monday in August. These people have been waiting to go to trial. The judge is not capable because she's had surgery. So there I am, put on the robe, go through the thing. I did a few trials already as a senior judge. Really enjoyed that, by the way. And I don't know, Steve. I just come here and I miss you guys. I like being on the show. I used to be on Ralston all the time when he had a show. In fact, one time Mosley was called in when he was going through some stuff as a judge. And Don says, why don't you come with me to Ralston? So I go to Ralston. Ralston says, what are you doing here? Why are you here, Jerry? Because John is very close to my son, David. They're good friends. So I've never shied away from the media. If they need to talk to somebody, I'm there to talk to them. I can't take positions on candidates, but I surely can take positions on a courthouse. Again,
let's talk about that.
The RJC, I was in the RJC. We were promised we were going to move in 2001. We moved in 2005. We were 4 years late. They went to arbitration, the county, and I felt bad for the county because they had a bunch of people running the change orders and stuff that I guess they didn't know what they were doing. And sure enough, they lost the arbitration, which is really a shame. And now, it's packed over there. In fact, we got family court judges at the RJC, and that makes it tough for the family lawyers because, when you have to run back and forth, and I sat as a juvenile judge, which I never had the opportunity as a district court judge. I've done abuse and neglect cases. Heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
How they do that every day is beyond me. I sat in some domestic relations. I went 3 days, Steve, without seeing an attorney. It was all people who can't afford counsel. Legal aid can only take so many if they meet certain income guidelines. I said to Barbara and some of her people, I said, can't we get some attorneys to maybe do divorces when both sides are in pro se, improper person? It makes it difficult. Divorce is complicated. And it isn't necessarily the original divorce. It's when something happens, when mom decides, I'm not going to let Junior go see dad because Junior's got a cold. Dad files a motion for contempt. Then they want, sometimes they get an attorney to do certain segments of the case. It's called unbundled representations. They need help down there, Steve. They're good-hearted people. How they do that every day, never a jury trial. Many times as pro se, you got to walk everybody through stuff. You got to take your time with people. This is their life. This is their kids. And so I become a real fan of the family court. I'm sorry. I know that maybe you guys have some things about them.
I'm a fan of family court.
Yeah, when they
running right.
Well, it's a
the good judges, but not the bad ones.
Well, there's a lot of good ones too. The ones and having them at RJC and at the Pecos and Bonanza.
Well, the RJC is supposed to be a one-stop shop, Supreme Court all the way down to Muni, right? And then all of a sudden that changed. Supreme Court left.
We left.
Muni left.
We left the 17th
And you guys still
floor.
don't have any room.
Well, the nice thing about the Supreme Court is Hardesty was able to bob and weave and get everybody to agree, the state, the county, and the city, to let us have a building built on Clark.
And get out of your contract.
And get out of everything. And also we lease it, which means if something goes wrong, we call the landlord. And we pay the rent. And someday we can buy the building if we want it. And it's a beautiful building. When we had the Conference of Chief Justices in 2018, many of them knew me because I was chief in 17 and met a lot of them. And when they came in and they saw this building, they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe the building. It's a beautiful building. I don't know if you've been there. It's really nice. And it was great. It was great. First of all, Carson City's wonderful. I lived there 12 years and it was swell. It's a great place to live. The rurals is God's gift.
You're talking about the Supreme Court in Clark.
Carson. Yeah, but we have a building in Las Vegas and a building in Carson City. The building in Carson City, I think, was built in 82. It's pretty good shape. They keep it in pretty good shape.
I thought it was a lot older than that.
Yeah, I think it's 82. Maybe 92 or 82 or 90. No, I'm not sure if it's 82 or 92.
But do we need a new courthouse to the tune of $700 to $800 million?
That's a question I don't know.
And do we need 18 new judges? Because they've been trying to push that, and legislature turned them down.
Well, they didn't really have I think they had a hearing on it at all. There wasn't even a vote or anything.
Non-funded mandate.
They talked about it. Well, the county commission talked about it last week.
But Steph, if they let's say they do get 6 judges, where are they going to put them? I mean, you got to have a chambers. And I talked to the chief marshal when we proposed the 18 judges, and he said to me, "Hey, Jerry, I can't fill the marshals we got now with these judges. How am I going to get 18 new marshals?" It's tough getting the marshals.
Yeah.
Now they have a thing where they have the critical shortage for marshals, so that if somebody retires from Metro, they can become a marshal. Mm-hmm. Because you got to have marshals there. You got thousands of people coming in and out of that building. And you've got to have the security. We have a lot of what they call rent-a-cops there. But I like the marshals. Let me tell you, those marshals, you live and die with your marshal. I love my marshal, Danny Reichert. And just like lately, I was sitting with Gloria's marshal. And I said to him, I got a flat tire. He said, "Come on, let's go to the parking lot. Let me see what I can do for you." He starts calling around to see if we can get some air in the tire. They treat me like a king when I go down there.
As they should.
Let me tell you, whenever I'm depressed, let me go to the RJC. My social life is the elevator. I get in the elevator.
Goodness.
"Justice, how are you? You look great."
People are running from the RJC. You running towards it. You want to hang out in the elevator. Look at you.
I was always more comfortable in the courtroom than the bedroom. So I say that people go crazy when I say that.
Oh my gosh, Judge. Okay, speaking of Jerry Weiss, the chief judge. So as I understand it, he does not carry a caseload. Is that right?
I don't know what he does. I mean, I'm not familiar with what their setup is with the chief.
Yeah.
What?
I'm only familiar with what I do.
What do they do if they don't have a caseload? They're a judge. What is it that they do all day?
Manage.
They babysit all the other judges.
All I can tell you is when I was there and I had Kathy Hardcastle as the chief, or various people that the chief, or Lee Gates as chief. It's like herding cats because you got all eight personalities, and sometimes it's tough. To be a chief
judge of the district court once?
No, I was never chief judge.
You were never chief judge?
No.
Get out of town.
I was there for 8 years, but Lee Gates was chief when I was there, and Kathy Hardcastle. I'm fond of both of them. And both of them were great senior judges, by the way. But Lee moved.
She got rid of Elizabeth Halverson.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I took Halverson to meet the jury. You know how we do the jury, where we do jury orientation? I have her roll in. And I say, don't let the disability fool you. She's a very bright woman and everything. But then she turned crazy. She went crazy with Ed, her husband and stuff. Sometimes the events that occur at the RJC.
The bodyguards were Veterans in Politics members, by the way.
Okay, so Judge.
Yes, about the building.
Let's talk about the
more judges.
No, let's talk about more judges. Let's talk about caseload, case calendars, case statistics. And I think since the tax-paying public pays for the judges, all the staff, right? All of our tax dollars pays for all of this. So shouldn't case statistics be of public?
Well, the report,
right? Shouldn't they put that stuff out so we know how many judges, what their calendars are, how many cases they're taking, what that looks like on a monthly basis? Shouldn't that just be on their website to where taxpayers can look at that stuff?
There's reports available. I know there are because I've seen the reports. I know that we do a report for the state judiciary where we talk about caseload and everything in general terms. But specifically, I know that people worry about their caseloads because judges will talk to me about, gee, I got to do this or I got to do that because I want to make sure that my case is good. I don't know who sees all these statistics.
Some judges have a lot more than others.
Right.
So how is that doled out? I mean, how come it's not equal?
I don't know. When I was there, we had Lee made sure everybody worked and Kathy made sure everybody worked, and we all had decent caseloads. We helped each other out. And then in the old courthouse, it was a nightmare being in that the old courthouse. We were on the fourth floor, Gary Redmond and then Alan Earl, who took Gary's place, Nancy and me. And it was not a nice place to try to be a judge. But when we went into the RJC, it was brand new and everything seemed to be good. But they shortcutted the elevators and people had to wait outside to get in the building. Problem after problem. And I was glad that I was able to do my 8 years and then my 12 in the Supreme Court. I really enjoyed being a Supreme Court justice. I enjoyed living in Carson City. As I said, the rurals and Washoe, that's God's gift to, and Lake Tahoe, those are God's gifts to this state. It's a wonderful state. I love the state. I came from the Midwest and they got all their problems and we have problems here, but we have good people here. Real good people.
We do. That is true.
Even though they hurt me, they hurt my feelings. My feelings are hurt. I think once I get over my feelings being hurt, I'll probably take Steve out to dinner.
We'll set up an MMA fight between you and Steve Wilson.
I just want to know.
We're going to set up a meeting, Judge.
Why would they let DAs decide that Cherry isn't fair? And tell me, what did I do? What case are we talking about?
Don't worry, we'll find out.
I've got all my statistics. I mean, I said to Steve, did you see my statistics? He said no. So I sent him my statistics because Amanda, who is a good friend, in fact, she didn't want to tell me what was going on. She said, Mike, I can't tell you. And I said, come on, Amanda, we go back a long way. And that's the relationship I have.
There's something they're hiding. They're not telling you.
Somebody went into Tierra Jones and said, Cherry, we don't want Cherry to sit on this. Steve said, okay.
Why Tierra Jones?
Because she's the presiding judge of criminal. She's the presiding judge. And she said to me when I called her, and I know her very well, we're good friends. She said, Mike, what do you care? It's voluntary. If they don't want you, what do you care? Well, I care because because of my
Your
ego
reputation.
and my reputation.
Where's Weiss? Isn't he the chief judge?
I haven't even talked to jury. I stopped talking to everybody.
Where's the
about it.
chief judge of the Supreme Court at?
The only people I've talked to about it is I talked to Steve. I had him reconsider, and he said, this is going to be a hard conversation. That's when I called him names and all kinds of stuff. It wasn't very nice.
Call them names.
And I knew that I was coming to you on the 23rd today. And this was 3 weeks
So
ago.
they
I think we
kinda
arranged
calmed
it.
you
Yeah.
down.
Well, I said, I'll wait. I'll see. And you know what?
What name did you call
I got then kaboom. I didn't say I said that. I said other people said that. And some people did. You know, he's not. Anytime you run for office, there's not other people that don't like you. I mean, there's people that don't like me. They voted against me. But I did get 600,000 votes when I ran unopposed for the Supreme Court. 600,000 votes.
People love you, Judge. They love you. Both sides of the aisle.
I'm so glad to be back with you guys again, and I enjoy this. And thanks for letting me say my vent.
Justice Cherry.
Me and Hunter.
Because we want to know this stuff, and we're going to try and find out
And how
what we
many
can for
F-bombs did
you.
I drop? None. Because you don't need to.
No. Is there anything else that you want to say that you might have missed or anything?
No, just that the senior judge program is great. The fact that we have a senior judge program here, it saves so much money. Oh, the other thing, Hardesty would make sure we got a budget. And I love Jim. Hardesty made sure we got a big budget every year for senior judge. And at the end of the fiscal year, if we haven't used it, we have to send money back. For my 11 years, we send money back all the time. Jim would call me up and say, come on, use up that. Let's go. Get some more cases.
Get
some
a party going.
Well, no, get some settlements going. And we were settling a lot of cases. We were on the 11th floor of the Phoenix building at that time. And now we have our own little cul-de-sac, whatever they call
Does
it.
the Phoenix building belong to the county? Or?
Yeah, they bought that building.
Oh, it does.
And it's got one elevator that works. And you got 2 departments up there.
Yeah, I know.
And it's tough when they have
Reynolds
juries.
and
Albertson.
Yeah.
And when they have jury trials, it's tough because the restroom facilities and
Those
other
elevators are a little sketchy.
Well, there's only one elevator that works, and it's scary.
Scary. It is.
And
Yeah.
if you're on the 11th floor and you can't get down, that's bad, especially if somebody's disabled or
could you tell us the criteria to be a senior judge?
I think it's in the statute. You have to have been a judge for at least 4 years,
Right.
and also you can't have been defeated in an election.
It can't be. You see that, folks?
Yeah.
Judges out there, if you want to be a senior judge and you know you're going to get your butt kicked in 26, retire. Because if you lose, you can't be a senior judge.
Yeah.
So just want to make that crystal clear there.
That goes out to a bunch of them.
You know, when the 22 women beat the 22 men in 2020, a lot of people had given up their private practice, the guys that got defeated, and they never became judges. They never had an opportunity to become a senior judge because they got defeated. So it's sad. And I don't know what's going to happen in 26 for the ladies versus the men again. I don't know what's going to happen.
All the ladies
I
can
know.
take it.
Well, I know that some of the judges are worried. They tell me, you know, I'm still friendly with a lot
Well,
of
you
them.
know what? Veterans in politics is going to be very, very influential in the 26 election.
Well, the people, you know, my mom was in assisted living for years when I was involved in the judiciary, and she would post her ballot because they wanted to see what Michael Cherry's mom was voting for judges, because people don't know. They don't know me from Adam. When I lived in Carson City, nobody knew who I was. I used to go to the 99-cent store.
Somebody
Nobody
said it was illegal to post your ballot. I say arrest me.
Yeah. Well, she posts her ballot, assisted
I
living.
say arrest me.
Half of them can't even read it, you know, by the time they're in assisted living. But it was great. And when I used to go visit her at assisted living, you would have thought that the king walked in the door. But that's how I feel about the way I'm treated when I'm at the RJC. I love the people there. They're so nice. They're so nice. And they work. They work.
On criminal cases.
They work so hard, and it's tough. It's tough sitting in a trial all day long. And maybe you're going to get lunch, and maybe you're not going to get lunch. And you know what? You got to stop at 5. When I was a district court judge, we could go in the evening, and we would get wings and pizza for the jury, and we would
All
go.
fatty foods.
And we would give.
No salads.
We
and
would go
soups.
longer, and that way, like my schedule, the law clerk and the court clerk did my schedule for the trial that starts the first week in August. And there are some days where I got so much other stuff that I have to do that we could only go in the afternoons, and we can only go till 5.
Don't you think it'd be beneficial to have night court? I think Judge Walker at Muni Court brought that up, where maybe once a week, or certain judges.
I was an alternate
have night
municipal
court.
judge. I was an alternate municipal judge for 20 years. Used to sit for Seymour Brown and others, and we had night court. I used to do night court, but you could do it with misdemeanors, and because no attorneys, and very few attorneys would appear. They got lives. These attorneys got lives. They got children. They got wives. They got husbands.
Some judges would volunteer to do it certain.
But if the guy gets to, and a lot of them, they're justice court at 7:30 in the morning. Then they're district court, and then sometimes they have afternoon stuff. Plus, they got to see clients to be able to bill. And then if you say night, they have no life. Who would want to be an attorney then? It'd be a terrible profession.
Well, I just tagged Wilson on the show.
Okay.
That's a start, huh?
We'll call him tomorrow.
I'm so disappointed. It's so hurtful when somebody you're close to, and the people that I'm the closest to are Lydia Stidleys, who runs the program in the Supreme Court, and Tiara Jones, who's the presiding judge, and Steve Wolfson, who's the DA. I mean, these are three people I really care about. It's not like somebody that I dislike who dislikes me.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And the DAs, I don't understand them. Weren't they glad that I make the defendant feel comfortable so that they can say to them, and you know what? I was able to never negotiate a habitual criminal. I didn't let anybody get a habitual criminal. Maybe I was too tough on that. I always tried to get the DA to recommend probation, which is good because a lot of these people, and also I let the family come in. Family of victims could come in and watch the negotiations, and family of the defendant could come in. And a lot of minority families came in. And that's what I was glad to see Dad there to see. And I'd say, Dad, do you think this is a good deal? Is this okay? I made a big deal out of being a settlement judge. I should have just done my thing and got out of there, and I didn't care. But I care. That's the problem. I care too much.
Don't worry about that.
And sooner or later, I got to stop caring. I got to let go.
No. Don't let them change your personality.
I always have this thought that my ex-partners...
You're too old for people to change their personality.
My ex-partners would come and say, Mike, it's time to go home. It's time to go, Mike.
Do you have anything else for Justice Cherry?
No.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
Well, Justice Cherry, Mark's going to zoom in on you, and you can say whatever you want. Make it really good.
Just that I've appreciated being able to be not only in private practice, but in public service to the state of Nevada. I came here when I was a young man. I've been here 55 years. My kids were raised here. My son still lives here. He works for the city of Henderson. He's the lobbyist. Has two twin boys that are going to be 5 at the end of this month. My daughter lives in Oregon. She went to the University of Oregon, married a kid from Oregon. My 2 oldest grandsons are 26 and 24. Every day I think all I want is a great granddaughter. I would like one. I've got 4 grandsons. I would like a great granddaughter. And they're young enough and they have girlfriends and future wives and stuff, and maybe I'll get that dream. I still like being a senior judge. I really don't want to stop yet. I still have the energy. I don't sleep a lot, and I'm not a treadmill junkie anymore, but I'm a cycle junkie. I got a little cycle that I do every morning when I watch MSNBC, CNN, and Fox. I watch all 3. I rotate so that I know everything that's going on because I like to be informed as to what's going on. But I want to thank the public for what they've done for me and my family for these many, many years, these 55 years that I've been able to be a lawyer and a judge and a justice. And God bless the people of the state of Nevada. And I think I'm thankful to be able to work with the many, many judiciary people that I've worked with over the years. And that's not only the judges, but all the staffs that are involved in courthouses and the administration of justice in this state. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Justice Cherry. Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Thank you for being on the program. Folks, that's Michael Cherry, former Nevada Supreme Court Justice and senior judge, and he was discussing Nevada's senior judge program. We hope that this program was informative, and now you know all the senior judges, so you know what you're going to get. This is Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips with Veterans in Politics. Until next time.